Namaste. I am Vinay Kumar from India, and I am from Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh, which is nearby to Delhi, half an hour distance from Delhi. So the topic is politics and political system in India. As politics for me is like a roller coaster ride. Sometimes we are getting a very smooth ride, and sometimes we are not. So guys, please fasten your seatbelts. I am really going fast, but the information is going to be very simple. Republic of India. We say it is federal to unity because it has federal features in it as well as the features of a unitary government. It does not have complete features of a federal government. It is parliamentary, democratic, and republic. Capital is New Delhi. As we know very well that politics is actually a government for the governance for the people, by the people, and of the people. So before moving ahead on the constitution and other features, let me tell you about some of the facts related to the population, the people. There are three most populous countries in the world. You know very well. The first is China, then we are India, and then is the USA. The population of India is almost equal to the combined population of USA, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Japan. I only chose those countries which are really having a larger amount of population. If I remove them, I can put nearby 15 more countries, like having smaller population. The population of Uttar Pradesh, from where I actually belong, is more or less same than that of the entire nation of Brazil. It is only one state. We have 29 states and 7 union territories in India. And there are more English speakers in India than there are people in the whole of the United Kingdom. After USA, India is the only country, second country, where there are more English speaking people. And trust me, it is nearby 10 to 15% of the population only. Now, moving ahead, I have a comparison between the population in 2016 and area. You can see it very well. Delhi, Virginia, Harrisonburg, and Washington, D.C. We have an area of 573 square miles and population of 18.6 million in Delhi. If you want to compare it to your city, you can compare it to Phoenix in Arizona. It is nearby 541 square miles, and it has a population of nearby 1.3 million. Yeah. Now, I'm moving ahead to some interesting facts about Indian Constitution. Our Indian Constitution is a handwritten document written in both English as well as in Hindi, and it is not typed and printed. It is the longest constitution in the world. It took around 2 years, 11 months, and 17 days for the assembly to finish writing the entire constitution. So we got our independence in August 1947, and finally when we made our constitution, it was enacted and it came in implementation in 1950. In January 1950. Till that time, we were still under the control of the Britishers, as Britishers colonized us. Some interesting facts about Republic Day. The first Republic Day was celebrated 3 years after we got independence, as I told you. And during the Republic Day parade, a Christian song, Abide With Me, is played, and it is considered as one of the Mahatma Gandhi's favorite song, Father of the Nation. And as John was telling you that first President of Indonesia was Sukarno, and he was our first chief guest of our first Republic Day parade, because we are having very good friendly relations with Indonesia since that time. And he got freedom he was enjoying freedom for only 1 month when we really invited him to be our chief guest. Now, next, India is a union. As I told you, we don't have a complete federal status. We enjoy a federal to unity status. We have both federal features as well as the features of unitary government. Our constitution clearly clarifies that India is a union and no state had the right to secede from the union. The first article of the constitution in itself says India, that is Bharat. Bharat is Hindi name of India, the old name, shall be a union of states. The preamble of Constitution of India states that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. The term socialist was added later in 1976, and I don't want to go on the Amendment Acts and all. It will be really boring. Now, coming to the party system, as of September 2016, the total number of parties registered was 1761. in India. But we have main 7 national parties and 48 state regional parties and 1706 unrecognized parties. Unrecognized doesn't mean they are not recognized. Unrecognized means that, okay, some people really made a party and they are functioning in some local areas and they are not as much popular as the other parties are. And India has a multi-party system. We have many parties, as I told you, and sometimes the parties get clear majority in parliament and sometimes they don't get. So what happens? The 48 state parties, some parties who are really getting the majority in the state, they form a coalition or alliance with the party, the national party, which is really getting a nearby number, and then there is a alliance government, a coalition government, which is actually functioning. And I really want to tell you one more thing. It's really interesting. When it comes to elections, our elections, like which happened in 2014, was one of the longest election. I don't know about in the world, but yes, in India it was. Our election took place in 9 different phases. It was running for nearby 6 weeks, because you can imagine the second largest population in the world and the largest democracy in the world. You cannot carry on the election on one go. You cannot. 29 states and 7 union territories with the second largest population. We have to carry it out in different phases, nearby up to 6 weeks. Republic of India, as I told you, 29 states and 7 centrally administered. Okay, coming on to central government, it is relatively, okay, central government. I'm going to explain some of the functions which our central government and state government are actually having. Central, I have written it in bracket federal, because we don't call it federal, because it is not complete federal, so we call it central government. Central government controls the most essential government functions. As you are saying, it controls defense, foreign policies, taxation, public expenditures, and economic planning. When it comes to state government, they have separate formal control over agriculture, education, law, and they are dependent on central governments basically for running all other processes like education and law also. There is a balance of power between central and state governments, where the central government is at the center and the state governments are actually working in balance with the central government with on the periphery. It varies by time to place, and state governments have more room to maneuver. We have a dual polity system, as I told you, a double government where the central government is at the center and the state governments are at the periphery. We have a parallel state structure. Like, I can compare my president and prime minister and parliament and Supreme Court to the different functions which are happening in the state. Like, for example, we have a governor as the head of the state and president as the head of the state, India, the nation. We have chief minister in state and prime minister working similarly in the nation. State, we have assembly. In nation, we have parliament. In state, we have high court. In nation, we have Supreme Court. There is only one Supreme Court in India. Okay, and each state have their own 1 or 2, depending upon the number of constituencies, how many Supreme Court they have. I'm not explaining the president and prime minister because I'm going to come on it very soon. The legislature, parliamentary system of government is there, as you can see it in the figure. We have Rajya Sabha, the Council of States. This is how our Rajya Sabha actually looks like. This is the outer view and this is the interior view of our Rajya Sabha. It is the Council of States, the upper house. Then we have, in upper house, we cannot have more than 250 members. 12 members are nominated by the President of India, and rest are indirectly elected by different state legislative assemblies, and it cannot be dissolved. Rajya Sabha is actually representing the states in it. Then we have Lok Sabha, the House of the People. We have 545 members in it. 2 are appointed by President of India, and the rest are directly elected from single-member districts. It is a 5-year tenure unless dissolved. Elections are held at every 5 years. Prime Minister may call elections earlier, and we have a definite women's share, like 33% in it. It has been recently secured in it. Prime Minister, it is the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha, and Prime Minister nominates a cabinet. Members of Parliament in the ruling coalition, he's the head of that. Effective power is concentrated actually in the office of Prime Minister, not in the president. President is the head of the army and all the India as the state. But all the functioning powers are actually lying in the office of the Prime Minister. Current Prime Minister is Shri Narendra Modi. You can see his picture. The President of India. He is the head of the state. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He is elected by an electoral college and he has a tenure of 5 years. He can be re-elected, and current president is Honorable Shri Ram Nath Kovind. And you can see the picture. He's Mr. Ram Nath Kovind. We have fundamental rights. There are 7 fundamental rights which are given to us by our constitution. Right to equality, all people are equal, and no one can discriminate on any basis. Right to freedom, freedom of speech or any kind of such expression. Right against any kind of exploitation. Right to freedom of religion, any kind of religion we can pray, preach or propagate. India is a secular country, as I told. Cultural and educational rights, as India has different culture and different educational backgrounds in it, so all different educational and cultural institutions have their own freedom in it. Right to constitutional remedies, this is one of the very important fundamental right, because this right actually gives the right to the people to go to the court if any one of their fundamental right is discarded, or they are not feeling that, okay, my right is really getting discarded, so I have to go to the court. And next, the right to privacy. This is one of the very latest and very important one, because in right to equality, we have one more right to information, which was implemented in 2005, where all the people, the common people, have the right to access to any information of public authority or government body. So we have to just apply on a 10 rupees application postal order, and we can get any information from any government body if it is on documents. So, but right to privacy is the right where we actually can save some of our information, which is very personal to us, from getting given to any person. This is our preamble, the preamble of the Constitution of India. The first line is similar to the preamble of the American preamble, like we, the people of United States. It starts like that: we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved. You can see it very well. And this is how we are actually following it, and we are studying it. I studied it in my school also. And now I have come to the end, and I really want to show you one video. I hope it plays.
Welcome to the Indian Electoral System 101. As a citizen of India, you get to vote twice every 5 years. You can cast one vote in the national election and the other one in your state election. India is divided up into small constituencies, which are areas of roughly the same population. In your constituency, keep in mind that the candidates can either belong to a political party or can stand as an independent. When a political party wins the election, it means that a majority of its candidates got elected. In the state elections, you are voting to create a body called the Legislative Assembly or the Vidhan Sabha. Each state has its own legislative assembly, and their main function is to make laws within their own state. This body is made up of elected representatives from each constituency of that state. There are multiple candidates standing from each constituency, and the one with the most votes becomes a member of the Legislative Assembly, or an MLA. Each state's Legislative Assembly also elects candidates into the upper house of the Parliament. This is called the Rajya Sabha, or the Council of States. Each state has a specific number of seats allotted in the Rajya Sabha, which are in proportion to the state's population. The lower house of the Parliament is elected during the national elections. This is known as the Lok Sabha, or the House of the People. Similar to the state election, one representative is elected from each constituency of the nation. Each of these elected candidates are called Members of Parliament, or MP. We now have our 3 governing bodies, the Vidhan Sabha, the Rajya Sabha, and the Lok Sabha, where your elected representatives go on to vote for the President of India. The President of India, along with the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, form the Parliament of India. The head of the government is the Prime Minister and is appointed by the President of India. The Prime Minister is usually from the political party that holds a majority of the seats in the Lok Sabha. The the person to be appointed as Prime Minister must be a member of either House of the Parliament and also appoints members from the Houses into a body called the Cabinet of India. This body of ministers is in charge of specific portfolios such as the Ministry of Agriculture, Textiles, Defence, Finance, Law and Justice, Culture, and other such ministries that have a direct effect on your life. You have 2 votes every 5 years. 2 votes that help select those who govern and affect the lives of the largest